And Stephen, I've been watching, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
I've been having a look at their Labour Party recently, and they're starting to look vaguely electable.
I'm really worried to hear that.
I know.
Yeah, well, no, we've actually grown up a little bit, to be perfectly honest. And it's very interesting that you're having a discussion, and not just tonight, but I mean, you lead this in many other areas as well, you know, about this business about woke first and politics. I don't think that there's much of a crossover there. I mean, a lot of the sort of the hard left in the Labour Party were the least woke people you'd ever meet in your life. You know, so
what do you mean?
Well, if you actually have a look at some of the scandals in the TSSA, the Transport Salaried Staff Association, with the behaviour and that, and the GMB being labelled as misogynist and all those things. So it's not necessarily the left and right thing. What is much more insidious, what is much more worrying, what's much concerning, is this kind of assumption that everybody now is terrified about saying anything in case somebody can say something behind it. Look at the idea that people at university, and you assume that if you go to university, you've got a few brain cells, they can't read Chaucer without having a warning. You know, some of this may shock you.
He gan up her throat, smocking in he throng.
Yeah, and let rip a mighty, like a thunderclappy.
Oh,
yeah. But no, this is so tedious, because what it does is it shrinks down the world of experience. It actually reduces human interaction, and it actually makes people ashamed for speaking how they are. Now look, if you harbour views that may be unacceptable to some people, and you keep them to yourself, you end up with a group of like-minded people in a dark beer cellar somewhere, plotting and scheming for them. You've got to actually get out and talk. Now, if you and I disagree about it, can't we talk about it as two adults, instead of me being terrified that you're going to say that I'm more woke than you?
Well, that's the tradition I thought the left brought into politics, which the idea of free expression, and I noticed that it's been taken out, and I agree with what you're saying. It's not a political problem, it's a cultural problem, which has been brought in through our...
We're not going to agree, are we?
Well, I'm a bit of a... people think I'm some sort of far-right fascist, but I'm actually...
No, good God, no.
I'm a bit of a... I'm quite liberal, and I just like people being able to express their views. Yeah. So, in terms... has he made a smart move by just showing the Corbynistas the door? Do you think that was a really good idea?
Well, I don't think there's any alternative, in all honesty. I mean, basically, Jeremy Corbyn was let back into the Labour Party, but he's not got the Labour whip in the House of Commons. And as soon as he said that, the whole anti-Semitism thing had been exaggerated, and then refused to apologise after the HCI report, then, to be honest, he'd placed himself probably where he wants to be. He wants to be the lonely figure, the Messiah, crying in the wilderness. I've known Jeremy for over 40 years, and he's always been a very amiable, charming person, but in all honesty, he couldn't organise his way out of a paper bag.